Well, good morning. Good to see we've got a few here already this morning, ready for our morning devotion. This morning I'm going to share with you a passage out of Luke chapter 7 that is one of my favorite passages in the Gospels. I just love this, and I love it because of what it says about Jesus in here. And it just it really strikes you when you read it, because it says something in here about Jesus that you just don't find in the Gospels, just so seldom to ever see it. And I called this meditation, Amazing Faith, How Sweet the Sound. We sing, Amazing Grace, How Sweet the Sound, because we're amazed at God and his grace for us. But Jesus is amazed at faith. And faith to him, when it's spoken like it is here, amazes him. And to think about what amazes Jesus, that is mind-blowing to me. But it's that first part of Luke 7, the faith of the centurion. Again, I'm reading out my old favorite Bible here. This is my NIV from years ago. It says, when Jesus had finished saying all this, in the hearing of the people, he entered into Capernaum. And there a centurion servant, whom his master valued highly, was sick and was about to die. And the centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal this servant. When they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him, "This man deserves to have you do this, because he loves our nation and has built our synagogue." And so Jesus went with them. He was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, "Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. That is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you, but say the word and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him. And turning to the crowd following him, he said, "I tell you, I have not found such great faith, even in Israel." Then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well. Isn't that something? Man, I love that. So I don't even deserve to have you come under my roof. He knew who Jesus was. He had heard about him. He believed in him. Now, it doesn't say this, but I like to believe this is Cornelius from Acts 10. That's how I like to think of it. I like to think this is Cornelius. Early on, we get a picture of him. But might not be Cornelius, just a centurion. Centurion is a commander in the Roman army. He's got 80 to 100 men underneath his command. He's a fairly important person. Today, the modern equivalent in the army might be a sergeant, I think. And so he's an important person. He's a commander. He's got respect, but he's under authority. He's not the highest commander. And so when he's told to do something, he does it. And likewise, his men love and respect him. And so he says, do this, and they do it. There's no questioning. There's no hemming and hawing. There's none of that. Say it and you do it. He tells you and you do it. And so when Jesus comes, he's there to heal the servant of this man. And this man is a great friend to Israel. He built our synagogue, right? You know what he says? He says he's a great friend. He built our synagogue, loves our nation. So he's a pretty great guy, it sounds like. He's not one of these rulers in Israel that is, terrorizing the populace. He's not there to make it hard for them. Obviously, he's been disgusted with his gods back in Rome, and he realizes that the God of Israel is the one true God, so much so that he built their synagogue, which is a church house. And so they say, this man deserves you to listen to him. Now, Jesus has said repeatedly in the Gospels, he says, I didn't come to the Gentiles. The church is to go to the Gentiles. Jesus came to the lost sheep of Israel. He's there to speak to the Jews, his own people. That's the reason he was sent, to seek and save the lost. That message will be for later, but right now he's there. And they say, no, here's a Here's a centurion. This is a Gentile, but he deserves you because he's such a great guy if you would come listen to him. So Jesus goes up to him, and as soon as the man starts speaking, Jesus is amazed. He's just amazed that here this man is speaking without questioning him. He's not, are you really who you say you are? None of that stuff. Show me your credentials. I mean, none of that nonsense. He'd heard that this Jewish teacher could heal people. He had a servant that was sick that he cared a great deal for. He says he highly valued him. And he says, Jesus can heal him. It was that simple. That's amazing faith. You just believe it. You don't have to have all kinds of things to support it. You just believe it, face value. And that's amazing. And when we hear that kind of faith, we are amazed, aren't we? We're like Jesus. We're amazed. We say, wow, that's incredible that you are so strong in that. And when I read this, I guess the Roman centurion that I think of, he didn't actually have that title, but he was an old retired truck driver. He was not very big. He was about 5 foot nothing, weighed maybe 130 pounds soaking wet. One of those old bull haulers, sit way down in their truck, Had the pointy boots. He called them cockroach killers. He says he'd kill them right in the corners with this bill. He's just such a great guy. I love that guy. His name was Larry Plummer. And we started Bible college together. And he was like me, didn't grow up in church, didn't know all the theological arguments, didn't have all that stuff. We just believed and went to Bible college because we believed that God had called us to preach to his people and we needed to learn something. But Larry's a lot older than me. He was probably close to 60 when we were in college together. And he was such a great man of faith. I don't know when he became a Christian. I guess probably in his 40s. So he'd been a Christian longer than I had. But he just had this amazing faith. And we would go to class and we would hear all the arguments, and all the supporting evidence in the Old Testament for the New. And there's a lot. There's all kinds of arguments about whether or not the Bible was inspired. We heard about all that. We studied all that. You study different religious philosophies around the world and the controversies between those and the Bible. And Larry, just all the time, he just let that roll off his back. Larry had a saying, which I thought was so astounding at the time that I never forgot it. Larry'd say, God said it, I believe it, that settles it. That's what he said all the time. What do you think about this controversy, Larry? God said it, I believe it, that settles it. He even had a yellow bumper sticker with that saying on it, and it was on his screen door. So when you walked into his house, it was right there in